Here's something most people completely miss, and it's the very reason they stay in cycles of lack. The divine law that governs wealth is absolutely impartial. It does not bend itself to pity, it does not excuse ignorance, it does not reward labor simply because you worked hard. It obeys the strongest word you give it, whether that word is fear or faith. This law is like a mirror. It reflects back to you exactly what you send into it. If you speak poverty, it multiplies poverty. If you speak abundance, it multiplies abundance. The law doesn't stop to argue, it doesn't pause to explain, it simply obeys. That's why I tell my students, your word is your wand. And when you wave that wand, whether in anger, in jest, or in truth, the law responds and makes it flesh. Think about it. There are two kinds of people in the world: those who unconsciously speak themselves into bondage, and those who consciously speak themselves into freedom. One person goes through life saying, I never get a break. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm always behind the law, impartial and exact, hears it, records it, and sets about arranging the conditions that prove it true. Another person goes through life saying, everything I touch prospers. Doors open for me. Large sums of money come to me in perfect ways. The law, impartial and exact, hears that, records it, and arranges the conditions that prove that true. The difference is not luck, not education, not connections. It is the spoken word. Now let me show you the danger of careless speech. I once knew a woman who, in jest, used to say, I'm so tired of this place. I wish I lived in a trunk. She thought it was funny. She thought it was harmless. But the law does not laugh at jokes. The subconscious does not know humor. It only hears the word and obeys. Years later, through a series of circumstances, she lost her home, her possessions, and was reduced to living in a single trunk. The very picture she had painted with her careless speech became her reality. She planted the seed, and the law, impartial and exact, gave her the harvest. Do you see why this matters? Getting this wrong means you keep speaking yourself into lack without realizing it. You make offhand remarks, you joke about being broke, you talk about your struggles, and every word is recorded, every word is multiplied, every word is returned. But getting this right means you finally stop working against yourself. You align with the law consciously. You speak abundance, and the law multiplies it. You declare prosperity, and the law brings it to you. You stop scattering weeds in your field and start planting roses. So let me make it simple. The divine law is impartial. It doesn't choose sides. It simply obeys the command of your word. That means you are never a victim of chance, never at the mercy of luck, never left out because others were favored. The only thing determining your conditions is the record of your own words. And if you want to be rich, you must start speaking riches. Now, that's powerful enough on its own, but combine it with what I'm about to show you next, and it will shake your whole understanding of money. Because the truth is, toil alone never guarantees riches. Labor without the right word is nothing but endless struggle. And when you see the difference between toil and the spoken word, you'll understand why one man can labor a lifetime and stay poor, while another can speak one decree and step into fortune. Here's what I want you to see clearly, because it will change the way you look at money forever. Most of the world believes that toil alone brings riches, that if you rise early, grind hard, push yourself longer than the next man, then surely you will prosper. And yet, look around. Do you not see thousands who labor from dawn to dark, straining every muscle, exhausting every nerve, and yet still remain poor? Their hands are worn, their backs are bent, their days are consumed with toil, but their purse is still empty. Then you see others who appear to move lightly, who do not labor in the same way, yet riches seem to flow toward them as naturally as water runs downhill. What is the difference? The difference is the word. For labor may produce wages, but only the spoken word produces wealth. Let me say it plainly. Money is not the root cause, it is the shadow. The word is the cause, money the effect. You cannot chase the shadow and hope to find the substance. If you run after money without first speaking abundance, you are chasing after nothingness. But when you speak the word in faith, when you declare your good boldly, the money comes as a natural shadow of the decree. The world has it backwards. They think the harder they work, the richer they will become. But riches are never created by labor alone. They are always the outpicturing of the word. Picture two men. One rises early and works late, pushing his body, pushing his mind, filling every hour with sweat and strain. His lips, however, betray him. He mutters to himself, "I never get ahead. No matter how hard I try, I always fall behind. Life is hard, and money is scarce. He is faithful in his labor, but careless in his speech. And the law, impartial and exact, multiplies the word he has spoken. He reaps exactly what he has declared. Endless toil and little return." Now picture another man. His labor is lighter, his hours shorter, but his word is strong. He speaks often. "Everything I touch prospers. I am supplied in abundance. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways." The law, impartial and exact, multiplies his word, and riches flow to him without the same struggle. The first man chases shadows. The second man commands substance. Do you see the contrast? Labor without the right word is futility. The word without labor is still power, for the word will open the right doors, bring the right opportunities, and make labor fruitful instead of barren. I do not tell you to despise work. I tell you to put work in its rightful place, as the servant of the word, not the master of it. For the word is the cause, labor the channel, and money the result. Get the order wrong, and you exhaust yourself for little. Get the order right, and you will find money flowing even through light labor, or sometimes through no labor at all, but by channels you never imagined. So I say to you, stop measuring your wealth by the sweat of your brow. Stop believing that your prosperity depends on the clock, the boss, the market, or the grind. Start measuring it by your words. Start speaking the decree that creates wealth. Start declaring what is yours by divine right. For the law will never multiply your labor beyond the decree of your lips. And now that you see this, let me take you even deeper. For if labor is only the shadow and the word is the root cause, then you must understand how the word creates conditions themselves, how every circumstance, every opportunity, every harvest in your life today is the direct result of the words you spoke yesterday. And when you see this, you will know that the law never forgets, never slumbers, never overlooks even the smallest word. Now here is the part that most find difficult to accept, and yet it is the simplest truth in the world. Your life today is nothing more than the harvest of the words you spoke yesterday. Look at your circumstances, look at your purse, look at your opportunities, and you will see the very record of your speech written across them. For the law is impartial, the law is exact, and the law never slumbers. It keeps a perfect account of every decree you have made, every affirmation you have spoken, every careless remark you have uttered. It is as if the subconscious were a clerk writing down every word, and then, with unwavering faithfulness, turning those words into conditions. You are not the victim of chance. You are not the prisoner of circumstance. You are living in the outpicturing of your own word. Think of it as a garden. Each word you speak is a seed, and the subconscious is the soil. The soil does not argue, it does not judge, it does not ask whether the seed is good or bad. It simply grows whatever is planted. If you scatter seeds of lack, lack will grow. If you scatter seeds of fear, fear will blossom. If you scatter seeds of abundance, abundance will flourish. You cannot expect roses if you plant weeds. You cannot expect wealth if you continually speak of poverty. The law of the word is as sure as the law of the seed. What you sow, you shall reap. This is why the careless word is so dangerous. Many say, "I was only joking," or "I didn't mean it." But the subconscious does not know jest, it only knows command. The woman who joked about living in a trunk found herself in a trunk. The man who laughed and said, "I'm always broke," continued to be broke. The student who declared, I am a magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. Soon found opportunities and money flowing to her. The law does not ask whether you meant it or not. It only obeys. That is why Scripture warns, by your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. It is not God who condemns you. It is your own word returning to you multiplied. And here is the hope. If your present life is the harvest of past words, then your future life can be the harvest of new words. You do not need to be bound by yesterday's crop. You can plow it under, plant anew, and speak a different decree. And the law, faithful and impartial, will bring you a new harvest. But you must be consistent. You must guard your tongue. You must refuse to let fear be your last word and insist that abundance be the decree that stands. So I give you now an affirmation to make your own. I speak abundance, and abundance obeys me. I declare wealth, and wealth appears. My word is the law of my life, and it cannot return void. Speak it often, speak it boldly, and speak it especially at night when the subconscious is open. Plant it as a seed, and watch the conditions of your life bend themselves to the word. For the law never forgets, never slumbers, never fails. And now that you understand this, that the law is impartial, that toil alone cannot make you rich, that your word creates every condition you see, you are ready to go deeper into the mystery of the spoken word itself. For why is the word so powerful? Why does it hold such command over the unseen? What is it about a spoken decree that moves mountains, opens channels, and summons money? That is the next truth we must uncover. And when you see it, you will know why your word is indeed your wand. Here's something that might seem too simple to be true, yet it is the very heart of the divine law. Every word you speak is a seed. Nothing more, nothing less. And the subconscious is the soil into which those seeds are cast. The soil does not question. It does not argue. It does not say, this is only a joke, or this was said in anger, or this one doesn't count. No, it receives every word as law, presses it down into the depths, and begins to bring it to life. In time, the harvest comes. It may be weeks, it may be months, it may be years, but the harvest always comes. That is why your present life is nothing more than the field of yesterday's words in full bloom. Now picture this. A careless man goes about his day sowing seeds of lack. He says, "Money never stays with me. Life is hard. Nothing ever works out for me." He sprinkles these words into the soil without thought, as a farmer might scatter weed seed across a fertile field. The subconscious takes those words, plants them deep, waters them with emotion, and soon the man's life is choked with the very weeds he planted. And then he looks at his circumstances and says, "See? I was right. Nothing ever works out, but he is not right. He is reaping what he himself sowed." Contrast him with another. She watches her words as carefully as a gardener chooses her seed. She says, "I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My purse is filled. My path is open. My good flows to me without end." She plants those words in faith, waters them with gratitude, guards them against weeds of fear and resentment, and in time, her life is filled with abundance. The subconscious did not choose one over the other. It did not prefer the woman to the man. It simply grew what was sown. This is why I say the law is impartial. The soil does not favor the rose over the thistle. It will grow either one with equal vigor. It is the sower who chooses the harvest. Do you see now why careless words are so costly? Every remark, every complaint, every sigh of despair is a seed. You may think it dies on your lips, but it falls into the soil, and unless it is uprooted by denial, it will take root and bear fruit. That is why I insist that you bless your words. Speak only what you want multiplied. Guard your tongue as though it were the key to your treasure chest, for it is. And here is the good news. You do not need to be bound by the weeds of yesterday. You can begin today to plant a new garden. You can start this very night to sow seeds of abundance, seeds of health, seeds of joy. And the subconscious, ever faithful, will receive them, will nurture them, and in time will bring them forth. The harvest may come suddenly, as in a gift, a check, a door opened at the perfect hour. Or it may grow quietly, steadily, like grain ripening in the field. But it will come, for the soil never fails the sower. So let this be your decree. Every word I speak is a seed of abundance. I choose my words wisely. I speak only what I want to see multiplied. I plant riches, and riches obey me. I plant love, and love surrounds me. I plant peace, and peace fills my life. Make it your habit to bless your words, to speak them as though they were seeds falling into the most fertile soil, for indeed they are. And now that you see that words are seeds, you must understand how the soil itself never rests, how the subconscious never sleeps, but works through the long hours of the night, bringing to life. What I am about to tell you may seem so simple that you overlook it, yet it is one of the most powerful truths you will ever hear. The subconscious never sleeps. Your body may rest, your eyes may close, your conscious mind may grow silent, but the great engine of the subconscious works on unceasingly, carrying out the last command it has been given. It does not pause, it does not question, it does not reason, it only obeys. And this is why the last word you speak before sleep is the seed that the night will multiply into the day. Think of it this way. The conscious mind is like a gatekeeper, always judging, always arguing, always doubting. But in sleep, the gatekeeper steps aside. The subconscious is left open, like a fertile field at night, waiting for the seed. And whatever seed is dropped in those moments will grow without resistance. This is why so many go to bed poor and wake poorer still. They lie down rehearsing their fears, muttering of bills unpaid, whispering of opportunities lost, carrying resentment against others, cursing their own lot. And the subconscious, impartial and exact, receives those words as commands and works all night to bring them into being. They rise in the morning with no fresh supply, no open doors, only the same burdens multiplied. They say, "It is fate, but it is not fate, it is law." But I have seen others who know the secret. They guard their last words as a king guards his crown. They clear the soil with denial. Every false appearance is dissolved. Every fear is erased. Every shadow is nothingness. And then they plant the seed of abundance. I am supplied. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. I rest in wealth, and I rise in freedom. They fall asleep with those words echoing in their heart. And the subconscious, faithful servant of the word, goes to work. While they sleep, doors are opened, channels are cleared, supply is drawn from unseen places. They wake to find the day prepared with blessings. I knew a student who proved this. Each night before sleep, she would affirm, "God is my unfailing supply. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right." She repeated it with faith, even when her purse was empty, even when appearances gave her no reason to believe. In time, she was offered work far beyond what she imagined, and opportunities came to her without struggle. She said to me later, "It was as though the nights themselves delivered my good." And indeed they had, for the subconscious never sleeps, and it had been carrying out her decree. So I ask you, what words do you give your subconscious as you cross into sleep? Do you send it into the night with weeds or with roses? Do you hand it fear to multiply, or faith? Do you plant lack, or do you plant wealth? The choice is always yours, and the law is always faithful. Let this be your practice from this night forward. Never let fear be your last word. Never let resentment be your final thought. Always clear with denial, then plant with affirmation, and say boldly, "As I sleep, my good flows to me freely. My supply is assured. I rest in abundance, and I rise in joy." Do this, and the subconscious, which never slumbers, will carry your decree into the unseen and return it to you multiplied. And now, having seen how the subconscious never sleeps, you are ready to learn why affirmations carry such creative power, why a single phrase spoken with faith can overturn years of struggle, why your word is indeed your wand. That is the next truth I will unfold. Here is the part that brings everything together, the part that shows you why a single sentence, spoken in faith, can change your entire financial life. Your word is your wand. Just as a magician waves his wand and calls forth what was invisible into sight, so do you wave the wand of your word and call forth substance into form. The unseen responds to the spoken decree. The subconscious, which never sleeps, receives the command and obeys. And the law of God, which is exact, sets every detail in motion until the thing you have declared becomes the thing you possess. Affirmations are not idle speech. They are not wishful thinking. They are creative power. They are the blueprint, the design, the invisible mold into which substance must flow. Now let me give you proof. For I never ask you to accept theory without demonstration. A woman once came to me with only $2 to her name. She was discouraged, fearful, almost ready to give up. I told her to bless those $2, to stop cursing what she had, and to speak the word of supply. I gave her this affirmation: I bless this money, and I declare that I have the magic purse of spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, more money comes in. My purse is crammed, jammed, bulging with supply. She obeyed, though at first it felt foolish to her. She said it as she walked the streets. She said it before she slept. She said it when fear tried to creep in. In time, she received a gift of $6,000, far beyond what her reasoning mind could have imagined. She told me later, it was uncanny. It worked like magic. But it was not uncanny. It was not magic. It was law. She spoke the word, and the word brought her purse into agreement with abundance. Do you see? The affirmation did not create something out of nothing. It released what was already hers by divine right. The supply existed in the invisible. The affirmation was the key that unlocked the door. That is the power of affirmations. They are not begging. They are not pleading. They are not asking. They are declaring what is already true in God and therefore must become true in you. And here is the safeguard. Always affirm with the words, under grace, in perfect ways. This ensures that your good comes without harm to another, without strain, without delay. It leaves the channel free for God to choose the perfect method of fulfillment. You may think the supply must come from one place, one person, one channel. But when you say under grace in perfect ways, you release it to God's infinite ingenuity. And then the supply may come by channels you never dreamed of, as gifts, as opportunities, as sudden windfalls, as debts forgiven, as doors opened at just the right moment. So I say to you, stop using your words carelessly. Stop planting weeds. Stop affirming lack. Begin to wield your wand with authority. Begin to speak affirmations of wealth, affirmations of freedom, affirmations of abundance. Say boldly, large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. My purse is filled, my supply is sure, and I am rich in every good thing. Say it with faith, say it with expectancy, say it until the very vibration of the words fills your being, and then rest, for the law will do the work. And here is the mystery that delights me most. Affirmations never return void. They may take time to bear fruit, but once planted in the subconscious, they must come forth. Some will sprout quickly, as in an unexpected gift. Others may grow silently, preparing channels, until they blossom in full. But every true word spoken in faith bears fruit. This is why I say, speak as though your word is the wand that directs your entire life, for it is. And now, having seen the impartiality of the law, the endless work of the subconscious, and the creative power of affirmations, you are ready to see the proof. for theory is nothing without demonstration. And I will now tell you the stories of men and women who used these truths and saw their lives transformed overnight. Stories of money that came when there seemed to be none, gifts that arrived by law, debts that were paid at the exact hour. When you hear them, you will know that the divine law of wealth is not distant, not abstract, not reserved for a few. It is living, it is exact, and it is waiting for you to use it. Now let me bring this teaching from the realm of principle into the realm of proof, for nothing convinces the doubting mind like demonstration. I tell you the story of a woman who came to me one day with only $8 to her name. She was weary, discouraged, and nearly ready to surrender to despair. Her reasoning mind said, "This is the end. There is no way forward. I will be consumed by lack." But I knew better, for the law never fails, and I knew that if she would speak her word and obey her intuition, she would see a miracle of supply. I asked her gently, "Do you have a hunch? Do you feel an inner leading?" She thought for a moment and said, "Yes, I feel I should go home, but I cannot see how that will help. I barely have the money for fare, and my home is filled with lack as much as I am." Now the reasoning mind would have told her to hold on tightly to her $8, to clutch it as her last possession. But intuition is the voice of God, and the law always opens when we obey the hunch. So I told her, follow it. Never violate a hunch. For God has channels you know not of, and your part is not to know the way, but to trust and obey. Before she left, I gave her words to speak. I said, "Repeat this continually. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my great abundance. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right." Say it as you travel. Say it as you lie down at night. Say it until the words sink into your very being. She obeyed. She clung to those words as a drowning man clings to a rope. And what happened? Within days of returning home, she encountered a family friend she had not seen in years. Through that connection, doors opened, and thousands of dollars flowed to her in the most unexpected way. She told me later, "Tell others about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch." For she wanted the world to know that the law had not failed her. She wanted others to know that when she obeyed her intuition and spoke her word, abundance answered. Do you see the lesson? It was not the $8 that saved her. It was not labor. It was not chance. It was the decree. She gave the subconscious a new command, and the law obeyed. She dared to plant the seed of abundance when her purse was nearly empty, and the harvest came swiftly. The same law that multiplied her supply will multiply yours. The same word that turned her $8 into thousands can turn your little into much. And now, if one woman could see her fortune change by a decree spoken in faith, what do you think can happen when you, night after night, speak abundance before sleep? If she could rise from $8 to thousands by one hunch and one affirmation, how much more can you rise when you make this a practice, a habit, a way of life? That is why I say, never despise small beginnings. Do not say, "I only have a little." Do not say, "This is not enough." Bless it, affirm it, and plant the seed of wealth. For the subconscious never forgets, the law never fails, and what you speak in faith will come to you in perfect ways. And now that you have heard this, let me take you to another story. One that shows how even the smallest desire, lightly spoken, can be fulfilled by the law. It is the story of a rose tree, a desire so simple it seemed almost trivial, and yet it appeared exactly as spoken, proving that the law is exact and nothing is too small or too great to be brought forth. Now, if the woman with $8 shows you how the law works in matters of great need, let me show you how the very same law works with the smallest desires. For the divine law does not measure your request by size. It makes no distinction between a loaf of bread and a fortune, between a penny and a palace, between a rose tree and a kingdom. The law only asks what has been spoken, what has been affirmed, what has been planted in the soil of the subconscious, and then it multiplies that seed with the same impartial power. It was the Easter season, and I had been passing by the florist shops where windows were filled with rose trees in full bloom. Their fragrance was sweet, their blossoms radiant, and as I looked at them, I found myself thinking, just for a moment, how delightful it would be to receive one. I did not labor over it. I did not scheme for it. I did not beg for it. I simply caught the picture in my mind and affirmed silently that with God all things are possible. Then I released it and let it go, for I know the law works best when desire is held lightly, without clutching or strain. On Easter morning, a friend sent flowers to me. She had ordered lilies, yet through some mistake, the florist sent a rose tree instead. When I thanked her, saying it was exactly what I had wanted, she was astonished. She said, "But I didn't order this. I ordered lilies." Yet the law had not mistaken my word. The supply came exactly as I had envisioned it, and it came by the simplest of channels, through what appeared to be an error. But there are no errors in the divine. There is only perfect fulfillment of the spoken word. Do you see how exact the law is? It remembers every decree, no matter how small. It brings forth the rose tree as faithfully as it brings forth the thousands of dollars. It does not ask whether the thing is trivial or great. It only asks whether the word has been spoken with faith. If you affirm lack, lack will bloom. If you affirm roses, roses will bloom. The soil makes no distinction. It simply grows what is sown. This story should give you hope, for it shows that the law does not tire, does not slumber, does not forget. Even the smallest wish whispered lightly will be remembered and fulfilled. And if the law can arrange a rose tree through a florist's so-called mistake, how much more can it arrange money through channels you cannot see? How much more can it bring you work, opportunity, freedom, and joy? If it is exact in the little, it is exact in the great. So let me say to you, do not dismiss your desires as unworthy. Do not say, "This is too small for God to bother with." The law does not measure by size. It only multiplies the word. Speak what you want, bless it, release it, and let the law work. You may be surprised by how quickly even the smallest decree takes form. And once you see that, once you watch a rose tree arrive simply because you held the picture, you will know without doubt that the same law can bring forth riches, houses, opportunities, fortunes. And now, let me take you to a greater proof still, one that shows the punctuality of spirit, the exactness of supply, and the truth that God is never late. It is the story of a woman who faced a lawsuit of $3,000 with no way to pay until the law itself delivered the supply at the precise hour of need. Now, if the rose tree shows you the precision of the law in small things, let me show you its punctuality in matters of great importance, where the need is pressing and the hour seems desperate. For the Spirit is never late. The law works to the exact moment, neither early nor delayed, and if you will hold to your decree, you will see it come to pass at the very instant it is required. There was a woman who came to me in great distress. She was being sued for $3,000, a sum she did not possess, a debt she could not pay. The case was set. The day of judgment was fixed. She came trembling, saying, "There is no way out. I will be ruined." But I told her, "God is your supply. There is a supply for every demand. The law that brought forth a rose tree will bring forth $3,000. Do not fear. Speak your word." Together we declared, "God is my unfailing supply." I give thanks that the $3,000 which are mine by divine right now appear under grace in perfect ways. I told her to act her faith, to move through her days as though the debt were already paid. Do not rehearse disaster, I said. Do not speak defeat. Prepare as one who has already received. The days passed quickly, and soon the trial was only 2 days away. She came to me again, her voice filled with fear, saying, "It is too late. Nothing has happened. Tomorrow I must stand before the court." But I said, "It is not too late. Spirit is never late. Hold to your decree. Even at the 11th hour, the supply will come. That Sunday morning, her cousin appeared at her door, unannounced. They spoke for a time, and as he rose to leave, he turned casually and asked, "How are your finances?" She confessed her trouble. Without hesitation, he said, "I will give you $3,000 at the first of the month." She was grateful, but reminded me later, "The trial is tomorrow. The money will not come in time." But I told her again, "The law is never late. Trust it. Spirit has already answered." On Monday morning, before the case began, her cousin telephoned and said, "Come to my office at once. I will give you the money now." And so it was. She walked into the courtroom not as a defendant fearing ruin, but as a woman free, her debt cleared, her supply in hand. The lawsuit dissolved. The $3,000 appeared at the very hour it was required. And she saw with her own eyes the truth that spirit is punctual, the law exact, and God's supply unfailing. Do you see the lesson? The law did not fail her because the need was great. The law did not delay because the time was short. The law responded to her decree. She spoke it in faith, she held to it. And though appearances shouted defeat, the law brought her victory at the exact moment it was required. That is the faith you must have. Do not say, "It is too late." Do not say, "There is no way." Say instead, "God is my supply. My good comes to me swiftly, under grace, in perfect ways." Spirit is never late. And remember this, the law works the same in small things and great. It brings a rose tree as surely as it brings $3,000. It arranges a gift as surely as it pays a debt. The channel may change, the form may differ, but the principle is exact. Your word, once spoken in faith, must come to pass. And now let me show you one more story, one that proves the law of expectancy itself. The truth that what you continually declare as yours becomes the condition of your life. It is the story of the purse of supply, a demonstration that shows how the law responds not once, not twice, but continually, as long as the decree is maintained. Now I want to tell you of a student who learned one of the most practical and beautiful lessons of the law, a lesson so simple that many overlook it, yet so powerful that it can change your whole relationship with money. She came to me burdened, saying, "No matter what I do, money slips away. I feel as though my purse is always empty." She was describing what so many experience, money earned with toil, money received with hope, only to find that it disappears as quickly as it came. But I told her, "Your purse is only reflecting your word. It is not the purse itself that is empty. It is the decree you have planted within it. Change the word and the purse will change with it." I gave her a new decree, one that has since been spoken by thousands with miraculous results. My purse is the magic purse of spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, more money comes in. It is always crammed, jammed, and bulging with supply. I told her to bless her purse every time she opened it, to speak to it as though it were alive with abundance, to affirm its fullness instead of cursing its emptiness. She obeyed. She made a practice of it day and night, speaking the words with joy even when only a few coins lay within. And what happened? Very soon, her purse began to reflect the decree. Money flowed in unexpectedly. Bills that seemed impossible were paid with ease. She was given gifts, opportunities, and even found herself saving without strain. Her purse became the visible evidence of the invisible word. She told me with delight, "It is uncanny. Whenever I open my purse, money appears." But it was not uncanny. It was law. The purse was only the shadow. The decree was the substance. Do you see the principle? The law of expectancy ensures continual flow. Whatever you expect, whatever you continually declare, must become the condition of your life. If you say, "My purse is always empty," then the law, impartial and exact, will fulfill your decree. If you say, "My purse is always full, it can never be depleted," then the law will fulfill that. The purse itself is neutral. It only reflects the command you give it. And let me add this. The beauty of this decree is that it makes money your servant instead of your master. No longer do you cling to it with fear, worrying it will slip away. No longer do you measure your security by the coins in your hand. You know that as money goes out, more will come in. You spend with freedom, you give with joy, you live without fear. And the more freely you bless, the more freely money returns. For money, like all substance, flows where it is welcomed and flees where it is cursed. So make this your affirmation. My purse is the magic purse of spirit. It can never be depleted. As money goes out, more money comes in. It is crammed, jammed, bulging with supply. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your purse itself seems to glow with the vibration of abundance. And then watch as the law fulfills your expectation. Not once, not twice, but continually, as long as you hold the decree. And now, having seen how the law works in stories of great need and small desires, of debts dissolved and purses filled, let us turn to the practical. For it is not enough to hear stories. You must learn how to use the law for yourself. And the most powerful time to use it is in the night, when the conscious mind rests and the subconscious, ever faithful, is most open to receive the decree. Let me show you now how to use the night as the workshop of God, and how the last 5 minutes before sleep can determine the whole course of your day. Here is something most people completely overlook, yet it holds the key to transforming your entire life. The last 5 minutes before you sleep are the most powerful 5 minutes of your day. In those moments, as the conscious mind grows quiet and the body begins to release its grip, the subconscious stands wide open, like fertile soil waiting for seed. The reasoning mind, the doubter, the critic, all fall away, and what you speak in that twilight state goes directly into the deep places of your being, where it is received without resistance and multiplied in the silence of the night. The world thinks of sleep as escape, as a pause in activity, but I tell you, it is the very workshop of God. And if you learn to guard those last 5 minutes, you can remake your entire tomorrow. Most people do not guard them. They go to bed rehearsing the burdens of the day, muttering of bills and worries, nursing resentments, replaying quarrels. They let the last word upon their lips be the very shadow they dread. And then they wonder why they rise to find those same shadows multiplied. But the law is impartial. It has taken the last command, and it has obeyed. The subconscious has been given weeds, and in the morning, weeds fill the field. But those who know the law enter those last minutes with reverence. They sweep the ground with denial. Every false picture is erased. Every plan not of God is dissolved. Every fear is nothing. Every worry is powerless. They clear the soil of shadows. Then, with calm assurance, they plant the seed of abundance. I rest in divine love. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. My sleep is peace, my waking is plenty. I rest in wealth, and I rise in freedom. These words, spoken at the very gate of sleep, sink deep into the subconscious, and the faithful servant of the word goes to work all night to bring them into form. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you had a servant who worked for you through the night, carrying out every order you gave before retiring. Would you dismiss him with muttered complaints? Would you send him away with contradictory instructions, or with no instructions at all? Of course not. You would give him the clearest, strongest, most prosperous order you could, and then rest, knowing he would accomplish it. That is exactly how the subconscious works. It is your tireless servant. It works without ceasing. And the last word you speak at the gate of sleep is the order it will carry into the silence of the night. So make those last 5 minutes sacred. Do not throw them away on idle talk or fearful muttering. Guard them as holy ground. Deny every false appearance. Affirm every good thing. Speak your decree of abundance with faith. Then release it. Close your eyes and rest. For the work is already begun. And in the morning you will rise not to the harvest of fear, but to the harvest of faith. And now that you see the power of those last 5 minutes, let me show you how to expand it into a nightly ritual, a routine of declarations that will clear the way, plant the seed, and seal the decree, so that every night becomes a step into abundance and every morning a step into freedom. Now that you see the sacred power of the last 5 minutes before sleep, I will show you how to turn those moments into a ritual, a deliberate practice that sweeps away fear, plants abundance, and seals the decree so that the subconscious may carry it into the silence of the night. For too many let their nights slip by unguarded, handing their subconscious over to worry, to resentment, to idle chatter. But you, knowing the law, must take charge. You must make your nights the very foundation of your riches. Begin by stilling yourself. When you lie down, breathe deeply, let your body relax, and say within yourself, "This day is finished. I release it. Every shadow, every burden, every wrong picture is dissolved. Let the troubles of the day fall from you like old garments. You cannot carry them into the temple of the night. Sweep the ground with denial. Say, every plan not of God is now dissolved. Every false word spoken in ignorance is erased. Every fear is nothing, every worry is powerless. I am free, feel the release, feel the air grow lighter, feel the burden drop away. Then, when the ground is cleared, speak your affirmations. Choose words that are simple, direct, and filled with expectancy. Say, I rest in divine abundance, and I rise in freedom. My purse is filled, my supply is endless. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. My sleep is peace, my waking is plenty. Do not repeat them with strain. Do not plead or beg. Speak them with quiet authority, as though you were giving orders to a faithful servant. Let the rhythm of the words lull you. Let their vibrations sink into the depths of your being. If fear tries to creep back, replace it immediately. Do not wrestle with it. Do not argue with it. Simply speak again. God is my supply, I cannot lack. My good rushes to me as I rest, then let it go. For once the word is spoken in faith, the work is already begun. The subconscious has received its order, and the law is moving to fulfill it. This ritual, if practiced night after night, will change your entire life. Within weeks, you will notice a shift. You will rise lighter, freer, with new ideas, new opportunities, new channels of supply opening to you. You will find money arriving in unexpected ways, bills dissolving, debts cleared, gifts received, doors opening. And you will know beyond doubt that it was not by chance. It was the exact harvest of the words you planted in the night. So I say to you, do not let another night pass unguarded. Begin tonight. Sweep the ground with denial. Plant the seed with affirmation. Seal it with gratitude. Then rest, for the law is faithful and your harvest is certain. And now that you know how to use the night in this way, we must also deal with the shadows that try to creep into those sacred hours. Fear, worry, and resentment, the great enemies of prosperity. For unless you learn to conquer them, they will follow you into your sleep and rise with you in the morning. That is the next truth we must face together. Here is the truth you must grasp above all else. Your only enemy is fear. Not people, not circumstances, not fate, not bad luck. Fear alone stands between you and your supply. Fear is faith turned inside out. Fear is belief in evil, belief in lack, belief in failure. Fear paints pictures in the subconscious, and the law, impartial and exact, multiplies those pictures just as faithfully as it multiplies faith. This is why I tell my students over and over, never carry fear into the night. Never let fear be your last companion as you drift into sleep. For if fear is the seed planted at the gate of rest, then lack and trouble will be the harvest you wake to reap. I once knew a man who lived under the shadow of fear for years. He feared a certain disease. He read about it constantly. He spoke of it often. He pictured himself suffering from it until the image became more real to him than his own health. He did not know the law, but the law knew him. The subconscious, impartial, and obedient, took his picture of fear and worked it into form. In time, the very disease he dreaded appeared in his body. He had been faithful to his fear, and his fear had been made flesh. Now, if fear can produce so terrible a harvest, how much more can faith produce one of beauty and abundance? Do you see the stakes? To let fear rule your speech is to sign a contract with poverty. To carry fear into your sleep is to hand the subconscious a poison seed. And the law, being impartial, will grow it as readily as it grows roses or riches. But the moment you replace fear with faith, the whole picture changes. For faith paints a new image, and the law begins to multiply that instead. So, what must you do? You must cast out fear at the gate of sleep. Do not argue with it. Do not wrestle with it. Do not rehearse it. Simply replace it. If fear whispers, "You will fail," answer, "I cannot fail, for God never fails." My success is secure under grace. If fear says, "You will not have enough," answer, "God is my unfailing supply." Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. If fear taunts, "You will be alone," answer, "Divine love surrounds me. I am never alone. I am one with God, and I am one with my good." Each fear must be met with a word of truth, spoken aloud with authority, until the fear dissolves like mist in the sun. And let me tell you, once you conquer fear, you conquer everything. For fear is the root of all failure. Remove the root, and the tree of lack withers. Replace it with faith, and the tree of abundance blossoms. This is why Jesus said so simply and so often, "Fear not, only believe." He knew the law. He knew that fear opens the door to evil, while faith opens the door to good. So let this be your nightly decree. I cast out fear. God is my light, my salvation, my supply, my strength. I rest in faith, and I rise in victory. Say it before you sleep, and let those words carry you into the silence. For the subconscious, hearing only faith, will work through the night to bring you victory in the morning. And now, having seen how fear works as the great enemy, let me show you its subtler companions, resentment and worry. For while fear storms loudly, resentment and worry creep in quietly, and they too can block the channels of your supply unless they are dissolved by truth. Now, if fear is the open robber that storms into your affairs, resentment and worry are the silent thieves that creep in unnoticed and drain your supply. Many do not see them for what they are, because they hide themselves in what seems natural, what seems justified, even what seems responsible. A person says, "I cannot help worrying, I must think of what might happen." Another says, "I cannot forgive, for I was wronged and I am right to feel bitter." Yet both are planting poison into the soil of their subconscious, and the harvest must be poverty, limitation, and unrest. Resentment is the belief that another can block your good. It is the secret conviction that someone else holds the key to your supply, that someone else has taken what should have been yours. But the truth is this: no one can take what belongs to you by divine right. Your supply cannot be stolen. Your good cannot be withheld. It is yours eternally, and the law itself will see that it reaches you. To resent another is to say to the law, "I believe in injustice more than I believe in God." And the law, impartial and exact, multiplies the picture you have painted. Resentment shuts the channel tight. Resentment is a thief more dangerous than hunger, for it starves the soul and shuts the gates of supply. When you resent another's blessing, you are declaring to the law, "That good is not mine, and I cannot have it." And the law, impartial and exact, answers, "So be it." I have said before, and I say again, no man can take what belongs to you by divine right, and no man can keep it from you either. If another seems to prosper before your eyes, rejoice, for it is proof that prosperity is near, and when you bless it, you magnetize it to yourself. But if you resent it, you shut the very channel by which your own good would come rushing forth. I knew a woman who watched with envy as a friend received a beautiful gift. She thought bitterly, why should she have it, and not I? That bitterness dried up her own supply until she learned the law. I gave her the statement, what God has done for others, He now does for me and more. She began to speak it with faith, and soon enough, not only did the exact gift appear in her hands, but an even greater one besides. For the law never takes away, it only multiplies when faith and blessing open the channel. And then there is worry, that twin of fear, always gnawing at the edges of faith. Worry is inverted imagination. It paints disasters, delays, and losses upon the subconscious, and the law, faithful to its orders, reproduces them in form. The worrier believes he is being careful, but in truth he is sowing weeds in the garden of his good. A man once told me that he prepared speeches in his mind for creditors who might demand payment. He rehearsed lack instead of rehearsing supply, and so he reaped debt instead of abundance. The antidote to both resentment and worry is gratitude and faith. Gratitude seals the good, worry leaks it away. Resentment shuts the hand, blessing opens it wide. So I tell you, bless every gift you see, rejoice in every success you witness, and give thanks for your own supply as though it were already flowing in. Speak these words before sleep. What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. I rest in faith. I rise in abundance, then let worry go, let resentment dissolve, and the channels of plenty shall open as rivers in the desert. And having seen how fear, resentment, and worry are the enemies of wealth, let us step into the holy ground of dominion, where every night becomes a treasury of creation, and every word spoken in faith multiplies itself into visible supply. When the day closes and the shadows lengthen, you do not fall into emptiness. You step into holy ground. The world thinks of the night as a blank stretch, a pause in activity, an escape from toil. But I tell you, the night is not escape. The night is creation. It is the workshop of the subconscious, the temple where every decree spoken is magnified, the garden where every seed planted bursts into life. You may think you are resting, but the law is working. You may think you are silent, but your last word is still speaking. You may think you are idle, but creation is in full motion. This is why I call the night holy ground, because it is here that the unseen is shaped into the seen, the invisible into the visible, the word into the world. Most people stumble into the night unprepared. They let the last thoughts of the day be complaints, fears, resentments, mutterings about bills and burdens. They step into the temple of the subconscious with muddy feet and wonder why the altar does not bring them blessings. But those who know the law step into the night as priests entering the sanctuary. They cleanse their hearts with denial. They clothe themselves with affirmations. They speak their decree, and they lie down in peace, knowing the work is already done. They understand that the night is not wasted. It is the very furnace of creation. I had a student once who grasped this truth with great simplicity. She told me, each night, as I close my eyes, I whisper to myself, every night I step into God's treasury, and I wake with supply overflowing. I do not say it with strain. I do not repeat it with fear. I say it as a fact, as though it were already true. She made this her nightly ritual. Within weeks, her entire life changed. Debts dissolved, money arrived, opportunities opened. She laughed as she told me, it feels as though I go to bed poor and wake up rich. But the truth was, she was rich already. Her decree simply allowed the law to bring her riches into form. Do you see? The night is not something to dread. It is not something to waste. It is not something to surrender to fear. It is holy ground, and you must enter it with reverence. If you treat the night as sacred, it will deliver to you treasures. If you treat it carelessly, it will only return to you the weeds you have sown. The choice is always yours, and the law is always faithful. So tonight, when you close your eyes, say this with me. Every night I step into God's treasury, and I wake with supply overflowing. I rest in abundance. I rise in freedom. My good rushes to meet me in perfect ways. Let those words be the robe you wear as you walk into the temple of the night. Let them be the torch that lights your way into the holy ground of creation. For if you speak them in faith, you will rise to find them made flesh in your life. And now that you see the night as holy ground, you are ready to speak the boldest decree of all, the declaration that large sums of money come to you while you sleep. For if the night is a treasury, why not draw from it riches? If the night is holy ground, why not plant the seed of abundance so vast that your whole life overflows? That is the next truth I will show you, and when you grasp it, you will never again go to bed as one who is poor, but as one who is rich already in God. Now we come to the boldest decree of all, the one that shocks the timid mind and startles those who have been trained to think small. Yet I tell you, it is the decree that opens the floodgates of abundance. Large sums of money come to me while I sleep. Do not be afraid of these words. Do not shrink back, thinking them too much, too daring, too presumptuous. For you are not begging from man. You are drawing from the infinite treasury of God, which is without measure, without limit, without end. To say large sums is not greed, it is faith. It is aligning yourself with the endless richness of spirit. It is refusing to limit God to pennies when He offers you gold. I once had a student who was always timid in her affirmations. She would say, "I only want enough to get by. I only need a little." And so she got by. She received little. Her life was one of scraping and straining, never overflowing, always just enough, but never more. I told her, "You are not honoring God by asking so small. You are not making room for the law to work in its fullness. Speak boldly. Declare large sums." At first she resisted, for her reasoning mind said, "That is impossible." But I pressed her. "Speak it anyway. The law will not fail you." She obeyed. She began to declare, "Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways." Within a short time, unexpected channels opened, gifts arrived, debts were canceled, and her whole financial life was transformed. She came to me with tears of joy, saying, "It was as if the heavens themselves opened when I dared to speak it." Do you see? The difference was not in her labor, not in her opportunities, not in her connections. The difference was in her word. When she spoke small, she received small. When she spoke large, she received large. The law is impartial. It obeys both. And so I say to you, dare to speak large sums. Do not be content with crumbs when the banquet of heaven is set before you. Declare boldly, and the law will obey. And always remember to add the safeguard, under grace, in perfect ways. For you do not want money that comes through toil, through trickery, through harm to another. You want it in the rhythm of divine law, arriving peacefully, beautifully, easily, blessing both you and those through whom it comes. When you add under grace, in perfect ways, you release the law to work freely, without obstruction, without strain, without error. You give God the channel and He chooses the perfect form. So tonight, when you close your eyes, say this with me. Large sums of money come to me while I sleep, under grace, in perfect ways. My purse is filled, my supply is secure, my wealth is endless. Let those words sink into your soul. Feel them as true. See your accounts filled, your debts dissolved, your freedom assured. Do not argue, do not strain, do not ask how. Simply declare, and then rest. For while you sleep, the law is working. The channels are opening, the supply is moving, and when you rise, you will find the proof waiting at your door. Now, having spoken boldly of large sums, let us add the final seal, the seal of gratitude. For gratitude is the lock that secures the treasure chest. Gratitude says, "It is done. It is mine already. I rejoice in it." And when you close the night with gratitude, you rise in the morning to a world already colored with blessing. That is the last truth I will give you, the final step in your night declaration of dominion. Now let me give you the final key, the golden clasp that locks the treasure chest, the seal that secures your decree and makes it unshakable: gratitude. For when you speak your affirmation and follow it with thanksgiving, you place the demonstration beyond the reach of doubt. Gratitude is the vibration of fulfillment. It says to the subconscious, "It is done." It says to the law, "I have received." And the law, impartial as always, responds to that vibration by making your good visible. Most people make the mistake of reserving gratitude for after the blessing has appeared. They wait until the check is in hand, until the debt is cleared, until the door is opened, and then they give thanks. But by then, they have already received the harvest. True gratitude is given before the manifestation in faith as a declaration of certainty. When you say, "I give thanks that large sums of money are now pouring into my life under grace in perfect ways," you are not waiting for proof, you are creating it. Gratitude is the seal that fixes the decree in place. I knew a man who was plagued by debts. He prayed for relief. He affirmed abundance, but his words were always tinged with doubt. He would say, "I hope supply comes. I hope something works out." Hope is not faith, and doubt left his decree unsealed. I told him, "Begin to give thanks now, not for what you hope will come, but for what is already yours in spirit." I gave him this statement: "I give thanks that the millions which are mine by divine right are now pouring in and piling up under grace in perfect ways." He began to say it daily, not with strain, but with joy. And very soon, unexpected income appeared, his debts were cleared, and new opportunities opened. He told me, "The moment I began to give thanks, everything shifted." And of course it did, for gratitude sealed his decree, and the law moved swiftly to fulfill it. Gratitude also disarms fear and dissolves resentment. You cannot give thanks and worry at the same time. You cannot bless and resent in the same breath. Gratitude sweeps the soul clean, leaving no room for shadows. It keeps the channel open and the flow steady. That is why Paul wrote, "In everything give thanks." Not after everything, but in everything. Gratitude in the midst of lack prepares the way for abundance. Gratitude in the face of sickness prepares the way for health. Gratitude in the night prepares the way for the morning's harvest. So let this be your final act each night. After you have denied fear, affirmed abundance, declared large sums, speak your gratitude. Say, "I give thanks that my supply is endless. I give thanks that large sums of money come to me while I sleep, under grace, in perfect ways. I give thanks that my life is overflowing with wealth, freedom, and joy." Say it with feeling. Say it with joy. Say it until your heart is lifted. Then close your eyes and rest. For gratitude has sealed the decree, the law has taken its order, and the manifestation is already in motion. And so, having seen the impartiality of the law, the power of the word, the endless work of the subconscious, the stories of proof, the nightly rituals, the defeat of fear and resentment, and the seal of gratitude, you are ready to close this lesson. And I will now give you the final affirmation, the word that will carry you into the night and rise with you in the morning, as visible abundance. And so, beloved, we have walked together through the one divine law that governs all wealth. You have seen that the law is impartial. It obeys both fear and faith without hesitation. You have seen that toil alone cannot guarantee riches, for money is not the cause, but the shadow, and the word is the cause. You have seen that every condition of your life today is nothing more than the harvest of words spoken yesterday, for the law never forgets, never slumbers, never delays. You have heard how words are seeds, how the subconscious never sleeps, how affirmations are the blueprints that call forth substance into form. And you have witnessed proof in the stories of men and women who dared to speak their decree. The woman with $8 who received thousands. The rose tree that arrived through what the world called a mistake. The lawsuit of $3,000 paid at the exact hour of need. The purse that was filled continually because it was declared to be the magic purse of spirit. These are not fancies, not accidents, not chance. They are demonstrations of law, and the same law is waiting for you to use it. You have also learned the practical rituals, the sacred last 5 minutes before sleep, when the subconscious is most open to command, the nightly routine of denial and affirmation, the replacing of fear with faith, the dissolving of resentment with blessing, the casting out of worry with gratitude. You have seen that the night itself is holy ground, that it is not an empty pause, but the very treasury of God, where every decree is multiplied and returned to you in the morning. And you have heard the boldest of all declarations. Large sums of money come to me while I sleep, under grace in perfect ways. When spoken with faith and sealed with gratitude, that decree becomes law in your life, and money flows to you silently, swiftly, inevitably. So let us seal this lesson together with the final word. Say it with me now. I now sleep in peace and rise in abundance. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, under grace, in perfect ways. I rest in divine love, and I wake to find my good rushing to meet me. Say it again, until you feel it, until the vibration of it fills your very being. For this is not mere speech, it is law, and the law, once set in motion, cannot return void. As you leave this message, carry this truth with you. Your wealth does not lie in labor, in luck, in chance. It lies in your word. Your fortune is in your mouth. And if you will dare to speak boldly, if you will dare to affirm riches instead of lack, faith instead of fear, gratitude instead of worry, you too will soon say with certainty, I spoke it, and then I became ultra-rich. And when you are ready to go further, know that the law is not limited to the night. Just as the evening holds its power, so too does the morning carry its own mystery. For there is a law of the dawn, a way to command the first hours of your day so that opportunities meet you, doors swing open, and success is assured. In my next message, I will reveal how to speak to the morning, how to decree to the dawn, so that the whole day moves in harmony with your word. But for now, rest in this truth. The night is holy ground, your word is your wand, and your abundance is already assured.